This
before.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, yeah. Now I will share my screen. Okay. Guys, can you able to see my screen now? I think still not yet. Let's see. Yeah. Now I think you can able to see my screen. Okay. So now here in the SAML configurations, so we are sending the lot of attributes, right? I think here we are sending the first name and also we are sending the mail address, right? And then similarly, like in other configurations, we can able to send the like first name, last name, UID, and whatever the attributes which are available in the Active Directory, we can able to send it through. I mean, sorry, not in Active Directory, basically in the LDAP, right? So it's not only for a normal LDAP, we can also use the JDBC actually. Okay. So right. Okay. So now here, this is the normal attributes, right? The first name, last name, UID. Okay. So what if application asks for some kind of customized attributes? Okay. For example, like what if, I mean, so here in our LDAP, I think we have created a first name as in every as in lowercase, right? We don't know because how the in LDAP the users are stored under, I mean how the users are created actually, whether they are going to use full capital letter or they are going to use full lowercase letters, right? So what if application team is asking some kind of a customization actually? Okay, so let's start with some kind of a, I mean use cases actually. So here we are having 2 to 3 use cases actually. We are going to discuss it about the original expressions actually. Okay, so this original expression in Ping Federate, it's going to use it to create a customized attributes. Okay, I mean those attributes will be there in the active, I mean LDAP. Okay, but in a customized manner. Okay, so in LDAP we will be getting the normal attributes, and then we are going to change that attribute in some customized format actually. Okay, like we will be having 2 to 3 use cases. Let's see one by one actually. Okay, so first of all, okay, in Java language, okay, so for example, I am the application team. I am asking, okay, please send me the first name in a full capital letter. Okay, so they are asking, please send me the send me the first name in a full capital letter. Okay, so how will you do that? Okay, so in Java language, what is do you know there is a one function is there? Do you know what is a function will be used to change all the like all the values to the lowercase or uppercase actually? So what is the function? Do you know in the Java language which function will be used?
Two lower or two upper, like that.
Yes. So we will be using two uppercase or two lowercase, right? So that is the function we are, I mean, we will be using it in the Java language, right? Okay, I think I started my recording, right? Yeah. Okay. So here we are going to use the same thing actually, okay, but not in a full kind of Java programming code actually. We are going to use the original expression, okay. So first case will be, let's see, okay. First case will be like first name in a full uppercase letter, okay, full uppercase letter, okay. So they are asking like this actually, okay. So this is the first requirement, okay. So you can also use last name or you can also use the mail address, so anything whatever we want actually, okay. Shall we do that? Okay, so here let's take one kind of example here. Okay, let's see what is the, oh it's good, okay, that's not a problem. So here we can use this application. So here there is a first name we already added, right? Okay, so what we got it, so we got the first name as a given name, right? Okay, so what we need to do, we are going to, I mean we are going to use this attribute and change this to the to uppercase actually. Okay, so here so normally in which variable it will be used to change it to the to uppercase or lowercase actually, which kind of attribute, I mean which kind of attribute syntax will be used actually? For example, if like two uppercase and two lowercase, whether it is used for integer or whether it is used for float value,
String.
or whether it, yeah, it's, I think it's used for string, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but here in active, I mean in LDAP, we don't know, right? Which I mean which kind of syntax they are using actually, like whether they have used as an integer or whether created as a float value or whether they have created as a string. So we don't know that one, right? I mean, like in any LDAP, we don't know this kind of information, right? So for that, what we need to do is that any function is available in Java to change to the string value. I mean,
Yeah, I
to
think
change anything to a string value. So there is a function known as toString, right? So we are going to use that one also. Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to change this given name to a string value, and then we are going to change it to the uppercase letter. Shall we do that? Yeah. So here attribute. Okay. So before going to the attribute contract value, so what is the like source ID we are using it here? I think LDAP, right? We are using the source ID as LDAP. Okay. So now what we are going to do, we are going to, we are going in this LDAP, we are going to get the given name and change it to the string value. And then we are changing from the string value to the uppercase actually. Okay. Now let's done this, click on next. So here, what is the value we are going to change it? First name, right? So before we got this value in the LDAP, but now we are going to change it to the expression. We are going to change it to the expression like this. Okay, we are going to change it to the expression. Okay, so now here as of now, everything will start, the original expression will start from the like this hash value actually. Okay, so the like the original expression will start from the hashing. Okay, that is the hash value. Okay, so now do you know what is this function in Java?
So when you say this, means like you're referring to that class itself, or
Exactly.
that what is this?
Exactly. So here we are referring to this particular LDAP actually. Okay. So this function here we are referring to this particular attribute source ID. Okay. So we are going to this source ID. From this source ID we are going to get this given name. Okay. So in Java, what is the function we are going to use it actually? There is a function known as get function, right? It will get the attributes, right? So the same function we are going to use it actually. Okay. So the expression this dot get of. Okay, so get of is the, so we are going to use the get function. Okay, get of and then we are going to in the double quotes. Okay, so ds is nothing but that is a data store. Okay, so data store dot what is the source ID we have given? LDAP we have given in the previous section, right? LDAP, and then what is the attribute we are going to get it? Given name, right? We are going to get the given name from this particular source ID, and this is the data store actually, right? Now, so this one is done actually. We got this attribute, but we don't know whether it is a string or whether it is an integer. We don't know that one. So now what we need to do, we need to change it to the toString dot to string, right? This is the function, right? Now dot, what is the next function we are going to use it? To uppercase, right? To uppercase, right? And then if you want to check whether I am receiving any kind of a error or not, okay, click on edit. Okay, test it. So I need to, okay, I'm getting some kind of a error actually. Okay, I think, sorry, I didn't open braces, close braces. Okay, update. Oh, sorry, edit it, test it. Now I didn't receive any kind of a error, right? So now I can update this one. Okay, now let's save it. Okay, I save this one. I think it's a second connection, right? Yes, I think here we have used this expression. Okay, shall we test this? Let's see. Okay, right click. Okay, let's before test this one, let's enable the SAML tracer and then try it. Okay, I think what is the user ID? I forgot my password actually. 546123. Okay, I think I forgot my password. Okay, let's see. Try this. Okay. I think I forgot my password. I need to reset it. Okay, where we have not here actually. I think okay, just give me a minute. I need to go back to the open DJ and then yeah. Okay, I need to go back to my open DJ and run this one. I forgot my password actually, so I need to reset it. I think last week we changed multiple password, right? So I forgot. I, don't, Okay, manage entries. Where is my user? Okay, so this is the one. So what is my first name? So it's in normal letters, right? So it will now, what we need to do, it will automatically change it to the like capital letter. Okay, so let me change this password. Okay, save it. I think what is that? Okay, I think I used my existing password. Okay, now it has been done. Okay, close it. Okay, so now I can go and authenticate. Okay, so here it is done. So it will redirect me. Okay, so here abc.com. So that is this one. Okay, so Samuel got created. Let's see now here. So here you could see, right? Okay, let me copy this one and paste it in the notepad. Okay, notepad. So here you could see, right, it has been changed to full capital letter actually. Okay, so this is how you can able to create it. Okay, I mean like this. I mean similarly, if you want to change it to all the lowercase letters, means you can able to do it for a normal to lowercase. That's all. I mean like this is the one which we have used, right? This is the expression. Oh sorry, where is that? Yeah. So here we have used this expression actually. Okay. You can also use it to the to lowercase also. You have to change this one. Okay, that's all. Okay, so this one to lowercase, and then here you can also use anything that if you want to change it the last name, whatever the client is requesting, right? They want to change it to the last name, means you can change it to SN. I mean, for example, if they want mail address, means you can change it to the mail. Okay, if they want UID, means they can you can also change it to the UID. Whatever that attribute they want, you can able to do it actually. So this is the normal syntax for this use case, lowercase or uppercase actually. Okay, so you got it now. Do you have any doubts till now for this kind of a original expression? Shall we move on to the next case? Okay, so next case is the concatenation. Okay, concat. Do you know what is concat actually? I mean, like we are not going to use that exact concat function, but concatenation is nothing but like merging two attributes actually. Okay, so merging two attributes. Okay, for example, like I mean, in in LDAP, right? We don't know which attribute. In which attribute they are using our first name plus last name. Actually, they don't know. Actually, we don't know, right? In common name, in some LDAP in common name they will store as a first name plus last name. Okay, but we don't know whether it is stored under the common name or not actually. Okay, so we don't know 100%. Okay, so for that we will write a expression actually. We can create a customized attribute for that. We don't rely on the LDAP team to get the information actually. Okay, so we can what we can do, we can use the we can create expression which will be used to concatenate this function actually. Okay, shall we do that one? Okay, so we can go to the same configuration in the same first name. Now what we are going to do, we are going to like concat the first name plus last name. Okay, write it. Okay, again. Okay, so here, so what we need to do, so this one, okay, we need to get the, okay, so we already got the first name. Okay, so this is the function to get the first name. Okay, so now what we need to do, like we need to give the plus symbol. That's all. Okay, we need to give the plus symbol. Okay, then as this dot get of, okay, again the same thing will continue. ds dot ldap dot I think I need to give it in the quotes, forgot to give it. Okay, in the quotes, that's all. Okay, so here I got this first name. Okay, plus this dot get of SN, that is I am getting the last name. Okay, let's save it and try to authenticate again. Okay, clear the SAML tracer. Okay, save it. Okay, I saved it. Let's see. Okay, now try to access the connection again. Okay, open link in another tab, so it will authenticate again because it's a HTTP basic adapter, so it is already taking the existing configuration. So here the SAML has been created. If you scroll down, where is that? So here you could see, right? So I mean, we previously we have given the first name as a uppercase letter. Okay. So now what we did, we have changed it to the, okay. Where is that? Yeah. So now here we concatenate the first name and last name actually, but I didn't give the, like, it's kind of a not, it's kind of I mean, there is no gap between the first name and last name, right? So for the gap also we can able to fill it up actually. I mean, these are all manual configurations only. Okay, so we can either do this one. Okay, so here we can add the space actually. Okay, in the plus symbol. Okay, give one more plus here, give one more plus. Okay, in the double quotes, so here give space, that's all. Okay, in the double quotes I gave the space actually. Okay, so now what it will do, save it. Okay, let's edit it and test it. So here everything is done, nothing is there, update and save it. Now test again. Okay, clear the SAML tracer, a new tab. Okay, I will get the SAML. So now if you scroll down, here you could see, right, there is one space. Okay, first name space last name. Okay, so this is how you can able to create a customization actually. Okay, so this is the second use case actually. Okay, this is a second use case. Copy this. Okay, so this is the concatenation. Okay, now you understood, right? Okay, so now in the, we will come back to the third case actually. Okay, third case will also be similar to the concatenation actually. Okay, the third case will also be similar to the concatenation. Okay, so what is that means? Okay, in some cases we will be having the mail address not as a, like, I mean, for example, like we instead of the email address, what they will ask, okay, please send me the UID at the rate of domain.com. Okay, so in some LDAP, right, there won't be any value known as the user principal name actually. Okay, so instead of that, in some cases, some application team will ask, okay, hey, I don't need the email address, just please send me UID at the rate of domain.com. Okay, so if they ask like this kind of a, I mean, like this kind of a information means, if the LDAP is not active directory means there won't be the user principal name. Okay, so if the LDAP is active directory means they are having a separate attribute, that is user principal name, which will be using the UID at the rate of domain. I mean, that is a mail.com, domain.com. Okay, but here if the LDAP is not active directory, if it is a ping directory, or if it is a open DJ, or if there is any other LDAP directory server is using or JDBC server is using, means there won't be any attribute known as the LDAP actually. Sorry, user principal name. Okay, so instead we can able to create a custom attribute actually. Okay, so UID at the rate of domain.com. Okay, like for example, if I'm going to use the domain as test.com means UID at the rate of test.com, I need to give this one. Okay, so how to add this one? Okay, shall we do that? Okay, so this is also looks like a similar to the concatenation. We will do this one. Okay, again, where is the mail address? Okay, so here we can use, okay, we can use this UID. Okay, so this UID, they are not asking the exact UID actually. So instead what they are asking, they are asking UID at the rate of domain.com. Okay, so now we can able to like create a custom attribute. Okay, attribute contract fulfillment. Okay, UID, give the expression what, so the same filter will come actually. Okay, the same get function will be coming. Okay, so this dot get of bs dot ldap dot uid. Okay, I think I need to give it in the double quotes. Okay, so now this one is done. Okay, so now I'm going to use the concatenation function only, that is a plus. Okay, uid at the rate of what they asked, like at the rate of like domain.com, right? So they are using domain .com. So they ask this kind of information, right? So this domain will be similar for all the application. I mean, if you are in an organization, right? If you are in a single organization, for example, like let's say TCS.com means you will be having the mail ID as Karthik@TCS.com, right? So you can give this TCS.com, it won't change. It is a static value. It is not a dynamic value. That domain.com I'm saying, okay? But UID will get changed for the each user. It won't change. I mean, it will be changing for each user. But this domain.com, it won't change. So that is why we are giving it in the concatenation and then in the ports value. Okay, let's save it. Okay, edit it, test it. Okay, so here at domain.com it's going to visible, update. Let's save it. Okay, now try again. Clear the SAML tracer. Let's try. Okay, it's done. Let's see. So here if you scroll down, that is done. So here you could see, right, UID @ domain.com. So for example, if the domain is tcs.com, it's @ tcs.com. Okay, so this case only applicable if the LDAP is not, I mean, Active Directory. If it is Active Directory means this one will be there in the user principal name. Okay, but if there is no Active Directory, they are not using Active Directory, they are using some other LDAP means you can create a customized certificate. This is one of the mandatory one actually, because lot of application will ask this user principal name instead of the mail address, because in some cases, right, I mean, in some cases a lot of applications ask instead of mail address, please send me UID @ domain.com actually. Okay, so like those kind of I mean, sorry, like those kind of information also the application team will ask actually. So this is why, I mean, I'm just saying it's an exceptional one actually, because most of the organization will use Active Directory, but if they are not using Active Directory means you have to go with this kind of information actually. Okay, this kind of expression. Okay, so do you have any doubts till now, guys? Like this original expression, there is one more case is there, but it's also similar to the concatenation. Okay, maybe like I will give you that task actually. Okay, so you can I mean, you can create it actually. Okay, you can create on your own also. Okay, it's a concatenation only, it's not kind of a use case, it's a concatenation. I mean, it's also similar to the second one actually. Okay, I will explain that one. You can do it on your own and tell me whether you can able to do it or not. Okay, yeah, as of now, any doubts till now? I mean, this is kind of a simple one actually. I mean, but you need to like understand the original and then we can able to do it. Okay, so okay, I will explain that that next case also you can do it actually. Okay, so in the application team is asking, okay, like this actually, mail address, pipe symbol, given name, pipe symbol, SN, pipe symbol. Okay, I'm giving this. Okay, let's see. Okay, email, pipe symbol, first name, pipe symbol, last name, pipe symbol, UID. Okay, so I mean, they are asking in this format. Okay, so can you able to do this? How do you know how to like do this? This is also looks like a concatenation, but concatenation of the 4 attributes. Do you know how to do this one? Like, can you able to do this one? Let me copy this and paste it in the chat. I think it's also simple one actually. You don't need to worry about it. Okay, it's also a concatenation. Okay, can you able to do this one, guys?
Yes, I think it's just adding the two fields with a getter and
Yes, yes, yes. It just it's also simple. Actually, I'm just giving an example. Actually, these are all like in my career, right? These are all the cases I seen as a original expression, like a customization. They won't ask any kind of too much. I mean, what we can say, too much kind of difficult customization. Actually, they won't ask those things. Okay, these are the normal customizations they will ask. You don't need to worry about it. Okay, okay, yeah. So as of now we have completed that okay, original expression. Okay, you can, I mean, you can do it on your own, this kind of a use case. Okay, and you can also test this lowercase and uppercase, and then this concatenation also. Okay, this is just a small topic only, it is not that much huge. Okay, so now like whatever till now what we have discussed. So we saw the SAML configurations, adapters, selectors. I mean selectors for SAML configuration as well as selectors for the universal selectors. Okay. Now the OAuth selectors are pending. Okay. And then adapters we've seen and policies we've seen, right? We created a separate policies for each kind of a selector, and then we also created a policy contract, right? Like instead of configuring multiple adapters, we can able to create a policy contracts and configure that, use that policy in the policy contracts in the policies, right? And then we also seen the MFA configuration, like MFA adapter and even composite adapter we also seen. And then we have seen the identifier first adapter, right? So these are the adapters we have seen. And then like we also seen Salesforce configuration for a SAML, like IDP initiated SSO as well as the SP initiated SSO. And then even single logout also we seen, right? Now after that we moved on to the features of ping Federate, right? Like forgot password, reset password, and then SMTP server to send the notifications to the users. Okay. And then we also configured that customizations of the login pages. And also we've seen that now we seen the OGNL expressions, right? So now like nearly we are completing the courses actually. Now the next topic is that the huge topic we are going to discuss actually. Okay. So this is the next huge topic actually, OAuth and OpenID. Okay. So this is a huge topic. Okay, like what we have discussed in SAML, right? So it's similar to the SAML configurations actually. Okay, but okay. Now, okay. So can anyone tell me what is the SAML actually? Like maybe like we can discuss something about the SAML, and then we will go for the OAuth actually. Okay. So tell me what is SAML actually? Like anyone, like just explain like one line or something like that. Okay.
So it's just just a language for sending the data between the parties, like
Mm-hmm.
so just
Mm-hmm.
XML based markup language for.
Yes, yes, exactly. So SAML is a authentication protocol. Okay, so SAML is basically a authentication protocol, and it's a XML format. Obviously, whatever like you have mentioned, right? So because we can able to see it, right? In the SAML response, everything is coming as a SAML format, right? I'm sorry, not as a SAML format. Like we could see it is coming from the XML format, right? Like this is the XML format. Okay. So in SAML, right? Sorry, in SAML, okay. So this is for a normal web browser application, means we can able to create a SAML configuration easily actually. Okay. Even the application team, there won't be any kind of a configuration will be there, as you like seen for the Salesforce, right? Salesforce application is just a normal like a web based browser based application, right? So now comes into the picture which the applications are using some kind of APIs. Okay, APIs, or if the front end of that application is using some kind of a Angular JS coding or Python level coding. Okay, so that kind of application means we can't able to use a SAML actually. Okay, because why? Because means SAML is a simple configuration actually. Okay, you can't able to like you can't able to go some kind of a customizations in the application coding or something like that. Okay, so for example, if if it is like a PUBG mobile application, so it's an Android-based application, right? It's not a normal browser-based application. It's a game application, right? So in order to authenticate, enable single sign-on, we can't able to go with a SAML actually. Okay, it requires more than a SAML. Okay, but whatever the advantages are there in SAML, right? That much, there is a disadvantages also in the SAML because it's too simple actually. Okay, and then it's too simple to configure, so that is an advantage, but that is a disadvantage on the SAML also. The same will be acting as a disadvantage. Why? Because means like like if you take a complex application, like like there are like if the application using some kind of a complex coding like a Python or Angular JS, and if it is not like a direct, if if the application it's not like a direct configuration, means we can't able to use the SAML actually. Okay, so even if you take an example as a PUBG mobile or even a Zoom application, right? The Zoom meeting application. So that is also using the OAuth configuration only. Okay, because these are all like a complex kind of application which requires lot of code to be written actually. Okay, so in the simpler words, right? If it is less number of coding is needed, means you can go with a SAML actually. Okay, if it is requiring more number of coding to be done in the application, means you have to go with the OAuth only. There is no other option to go with actually. Okay, and there is a disadvantage also in OAuth actually, because I mean in OAuth, right, the application team needs to use three kind of APIs. Okay, I will show you how to use that APIs also. Okay, I mean like whatever we configured in the SAML, right, the application side configuration. Okay, so similarly in OAuth, the application team needs to use the three kind of APIs actually. Okay, okay, so that three kind of APIs, I will show you how to test that APIs actually. Okay, we will see, we will discuss in the coming classes actually. First of all, we'll start with the introduction, and then we'll go for a practical session, and then we'll go continuously. Okay, so here like there is a disadvantages in OAuth actually, because in application side, right, it is complex to use actually. Okay, I mean they need to write more code. I mean if they want to use the APIs, right, I mean in OAuth, right, if they want to authenticate or if they want to use the OAuth, means they need to use the three kind of APIs. So in order to use the three kind of APIs, means they need to write the code actually. Okay, it's not that much, I mean it's not that much difficult, but it's if it is like, if they used to it, right, they can able to use the same code for continuously for all the applications actually. They don't want to like write a separate code for each application. That is not a case actually. They can use the existing format to use it for all the applications. So that is one of the advantage also. And then even if you take a like security perspective, OAuth is less secure than the SAML actually. Okay, so SAML, even though if it is a straightforward configuration, it requires a certificate, and then it is also requiring the SAML response to be signed, and then and then it is in our cases you can't able to, I mean it won't expose the password of the particular user actually. That is a SAML, that is the advantage of the SAML. It's more secure than the OAuth. But in OAuth, right, it's little bit there is a security breach is there, but that is little bit we can able to avoid that also. Okay, like I mean in one of the type, right, we can able to send the username and password in the request itself actually. Okay, so the hackers can able to like, I mean can able to like attack them and get the username and password of a particular user actually. So that is one of only one case actually, but we can able to overcome that case also. I will tell you how to, I mean I will tell you there are like four cases are there. I will tell you one by one actually. Okay, so in I mean in SAML, right, there are two kind of like parties are involved, right? What are the parties involved in SAML actually? Like two kind of parties. What are the two kinds of parties actually? You can tell me.
So identity provider and service provider.
Yes, identity provider and then a service provider. Identity provider is nothing but which will provide the identity of a particular user, right? Which basically do the authentication for the user. Service provider, which is basically providing the services, that is the application, right? So here there are four cases will be there. Okay, I mean sorry, four parties will be there actually. Okay, four parties. Okay, first one. First one is the user or resource owner. Okay, user or resource owner. Okay, next, client. Client is nothing but okay application. Okay, basically if you take a PUBG mobile, right, so PUBG mobile is the client. Okay, now the third thing is that authorization server. Okay, authorization server, basically here in our testing process, right, we are using the ping fabric. Okay, next, the fourth one and final one is that resource server. Okay, so resource server is nothing but that is the application server. I mean, in simple words, like in SAML, we are what we can say, we told them as a service provider, right? So that is the resource server here. Okay, basically that application server which has been hosted on. Okay, so these are the four parties involved in the OAuth actually. First one is the user or resource owner. That is basically us. That is the user who is trying to access the application, right? If you take a PUBG mobile, right, if you are the user actually. Okay, so you if you try to open the PUBG mobile, means that you will be the user. That means you are the resource owner, right? So what is the client? Then PUBG Mobile will be acting as a client actually. Okay. What is the authorization server? Okay. So I mean in PUBG Mobile, like you can able to like log in with your Google account, right? Your Gmail account, right? So then Google LDAP server basically acting as a authorization server. So in our case, we are going to use the ping Federate will be acting as a authorization server. Okay. Then resource server. Resource server is nothing but PUBG Mobile backend server. So PUBG Mobile backend server is nothing but that is a Tencent corporation, right? I think PUBG corporation only. It's a Chinese, it's a Korean based company, right? So they will be, I mean, there will be a backend server will be there to host the PUBG Mobile, right? So that will be acting as a resource server here. Okay. So basically user is nothing but it's you, client is just a normal application. Okay. Resource server is nothing but the, I mean, it will be used to host the client actually. Okay. Authorization server is nothing but that is who will be doing the authentication as well as the authorization actually. So here ping Federate will be can able to do only the authentication, so that will be considered as authorization server also. Okay. Okay, so now these are the four parties. In SAML, there is only two parties actually. Okay, so here in OAuth, that two parties has been like what we can say has been like, I mean, extended up to four parties actually. That's a difference between that one. Okay, so here we will okay, so we'll start with the normal OAuth actually. Okay, so if you take a OAuth, right? Okay, so SAML is a XML format, OAuth is a JSON format. Okay, OAuth is a JSON format. That is the most important change actually. OAuth is a like JSON format. And then in SAML, right, in SAML it will create a SAML response, right? So here this is a SAML response, right? In SAML response we can able to send the attributes like this, right? So this is the in SAML it will create a SAML response. Okay, so for the SAML request, okay, so here in OAuth, right, it will create a token, it will create an access token actually. Okay, it will create a access token. So that access token, because OAuth is a JSON format, that access token will be as a JSON format actually. So since SAML is XML format, that SAML response will be acting as a XML format only. So similarly, OAuth is a JSON format. So here OAuth will create an access token actually. That is a response. Okay, that is a response. Okay, so that access token will be of a JSON format, and whatever the SAML response we can able to send it, right? The attributes we are sending the SAML response, that UID, first name, last name, even the customization of the attributes we are sending, right? So everything we can able to send in the particular access token for OAuth also. I mean, it will be the same step. I mean, even if you try to configure it in the ping Federate, right, it will have the same steps actually. Okay, you don't need to worry about it. Okay. So I mean, you can also send the first name, last name, mail address, even the customized attributes we are creating, right? Everything it will be repetitive for the OAuth also. Okay, but the main difference between the SAML and OAuth, right? OAuth can't able to do the authentication actually. Okay, so there will be, I mean, it's not an independent protocol; it's a dependent protocol. Okay, why? Because means OAuth is only used for authorization purposes. Okay, but if you want to, I mean, in ping Federate, right, we are not doing any kind of authorization actually. Okay, so that is one of the big use cases here in ping Federate. Ping Federate is only used for authentication, it's not used for a authorization, but it's a OAuth protocol, it's a universal protocol actually. I mean, it's not introduced by the ping organization, or even it is not introduced by the Microsoft organization. It has been introduced by some kind of a Oasis organization. Okay, so they have introduced for authorization purposes, but here in ping Federate, right, it is this OAuth has been used as the authentication protocol actually. Okay, so in, I mean, if you are using only the ping Federate tool, if you are using only the ping Federate tool, the OAuth will be acting as only as a authentication actually. It won't do the authorization. Okay, so here, I mean, there is a separate tool they are using actually in ping Federate. I mean, in ping, right, they are having a separate tool known as the ping access. Okay, so in ping access they are, I mean, in ping access only they are doing the authorization actually. Okay, so ping access can't work independently. It need ping Federate to do the authentication, and then it will enable the OAuth protocol in the ping Federate, and that OAuth protocol will be acting as a communication bridge between the ping Federate and then the ping access. So if you are combining the ping access, right, then only it will be, I mean, the authorization will happen actually. So then only the OAuth will get fulfilled. But here in ping federate, we are seeing only the ping federate, right? We will be doing the authentication by using the OAuth protocol. Okay. So it's as I already mentioned, it's not an independent protocol. It's a dependent protocol. So we need to use the OpenID policy. So we need to use the OpenID. So this OpenID, right, will be using it as a top layer to the OAuth. Okay. So here this OpenID will be creating. I mean, it won't come in any kind of a flow diagram actually. Okay. So this OpenID protocol, it won't do any kind of a, like it won't come in any kind of a flow diagram or whatever we are going to see it actually. Okay, it's kind of a, invisible to the user actually. Okay, so this OpenID, it will be like a invisible to the user. Even for an administrator also, if we enable some kind of options, means we can able to see it, but it won't be visible to the users actually. So this OpenID, what it will do, like it will just enable the authentication for the OAuth actually. Okay, so this OAuth and OpenID can't able to like do it independently actually. So we need to combine them both. So then it will be get fulfilled actually. Okay. So for OAuth, if they want to do the like authentication, means OpenID needs to be there actually. Okay. OpenID, it's a identity protocol which will create a ID token actually, which will create a ID token. So based on the ID token, it will ask the user to type the username and password. Basically, it will what it will do. At first the ID token will get triggered. Okay, and then it will trigger the user to type the username and password. Basically, it will trigger the adapter for the user actually. Okay, then then it will I will show you the clearly workflow when we are doing the practical session actually. So then you can able to understand it clearly. So basically it will trigger the adapter for that particular access token, and then if it is triggering the adapter, right, so the user will get a login page. The user will try to type the username and password. Okay, so for the username and password, if it is successful, right, it will create the access token as well as the ID token actually. Okay, so the access token will be used for the authorization purposes in the application actually. ID token, it won't be used anywhere actually. That's all. It's just a normal use case. Even we can also use the ID token to get the user infos actually. Basically they will be using the access token only. They won't be using the ID token to get the user info. Like in SAML response, we are sending the user info, right? Even in OpenID also we can able to send the information, but application team won't use the ID token. They will be using only the access token to get the user infos actually. Like basically the whatever the user info we are sending in the access token. Okay, so let's start with the basic diagram actually. Okay, so here this is the OAuth overview actually. Okay, so basically here the user is nothing but that is the resource owner, as I already mentioned. I will share this document link actually. You can go through this document also. Okay, so here basically this user or resource owner is just a normal user actually, like us. If you are using a PUBG mobile, means you are the user actually. Okay, so user agent is nothing but it's a basically like a, if it is it may be like a browser, or it may be like for example, it may also like for example, if you take a mobile phone, right, so that mobile phone will be acting as a user agent. Okay, then client is nothing but that is basically like a application. So if you are accessing a Zoom meeting, means then Zoom meeting is the client application. If you are accessing a PUBG mobile, means that PUBG mobile will be acting as a client actually. Then here then here authorization server is nothing but that is the ping federate. Okay, so that ping federate will be acting as an authorization server. The resource server will be it's a normal application server the client has been hosted on. Okay, but there is another case is there in the resource server. Okay, so if they are using a ping access, if you are using a ping access, right, that's a separate tool for doing the authorization. Okay, so if you are using a ping access, the resource server won't be the application server actually. Okay, the ping access server will be acting as a resource server, because all the application details will be stored under the ping access actually. Okay, so basically like ping access will be acting as a application server alias resource server alias like a ping access server authorization. Not an authorization server, just a normal server actually. Okay, So, but here we are not going to use any kind of a ping access actually. So we will be seeing the resource server as an application server. So like if you are using a Zoom meeting, right, then Zoom meeting backend server will be acting as a resource server. Okay. Now I am the user. Okay. So if I try to open the Zoom meeting, means how will I go and open it here? I am trying to use it the Zoom meeting. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Zoom meeting. Okay, I'm trying. I open my Chrome browser and then I try to log into the Zoom application. Okay, so basically this is a Zoom application, right? So here there is a sign in button is there. So I'm clicking on the sign in button. So here I'm clicking on the single sign. I mean, just never mind this one. Okay, so I'm clicking on the Google option. So Google is also like one of the single sign-on provider actually. So here if I click on the Google, so it will be redirecting me to the login page of the Google. So as we already seen, right, in the Salesforce connection, if we click on the single sign-on option, means it will be redirecting me to the identity provider login page, right? So similarly, here identity provider login page, I mean, it has been redirecting me to the Google LDAP server. Here Google LDAP server will be acting as an identity provider. Basically, it's an authorization server. Okay. So here, whenever the user trying to access any kind of a application, that is a Zoom application, through the browser, which browser I have used, Chrome browser, right? So I use this browser to access the client. Okay, so whenever I hit the sign in, right, okay, there will be like a one request will be created. Okay, so then I mean it will send the request to the application server. Okay, so then I mean basically that is the resource server. Okay, in resource server, what it will do, it will check actually in the resource server, it will check if there is any configuration is there for the authorization server or not. Okay, so before going into that, in SAML configuration, how the SAML request identify this identity provider to send the SAML request to it based on the entity ID configured in the application side, right? Okay, so similarly we will be configuring the client ID actually. I mean we will be creating the client ID in the ping Federate. We will be send that particular client ID to the resource server. Okay, you can able to see it in the browser itself. Okay, so here the client ID information is there, right, in the browser. I mean in the browser URL. So here you could see, right. So this is the client ID actually. Okay, so based on this client ID only, the authorization request will be created in the resource server, and it will send the request to the client. Basically, that is a Zoom application. So here it will send the request to the Zoom application, and then the client will redirect the request to the authorization server. Okay, so here in the Zoom application, Google LDAP server will be acting as the authorization server actually. Okay, so once it receives the authorization request, right, okay, then it will check the request whether the client ID is there or not. Okay, so it will check the request. So this is the request has been come from the application to the Google LDAP server, basically the authorization server. Okay, so it will check the configuration whether this client ID is there in the Google LDAP server or not. If it is there, means it will redirect the login page to the user through the user agent. It will redirect the login page to the user through the user agent, as I already received it here, right? You could see, right, as I already received it here. Okay, can you able to see? I mean, you can able to understand it, right? When once I type my username and password, right? Okay, let me just give me a minute. Let me go back to the. Okay, where is it? My normal browser. SAML app extension, incognito window. Okay, create a SAML tracer. Okay, so what is the user ID I have created? Oh, sorry. Give me a minute. Let me go back to the pin Federate and see. I have used one kind of a test Gmail account actually in the notification permission. Use this one. So here I am typing my mail. Okay, I will type my password. Okay, once I type my password, it will be redirecting me to the. I mean, if it is successful, if it is there in the Google, right? So it will get successful. Here it has been redirecting me to the application page. Okay, so here if you go back to the, okay, where is the SAML tracer? This is the one, right? Yeah. So here in the SAML tracer, okay, once after my authentication, it has been created a token, right? You could see, right? This is a token which has been in a format of encrypted format as JSON format. Here you could see, right? This is the token value actually. Okay, so this is the token value. I will paste here. Okay, so this is a token. The token is a JSON format, right? This JSON format, it will be looks like this actually. Okay, so basically, like after authentication, it will create a token. So basically, what is happening here, right? Whenever I am the user, I try to open a Zoom application through the user agent, like a browser. Okay, then once I hit the sign in button in the application, it will send the request to the resource server. Then the resource server will check is there any kind of a single sign-on has been configured as a OAuth. Okay, it will check for the client ID and it will create authorization request and it will redirect the request to the client. The client will redirect the request to the authorization server. Then authorization server, what it will do, it will check the client ID is there or not. If it is there, means it will check for a session. If the session is not there, it will throw the login page to the user. The user will type the credentials and then the basic thing will be happen, like the authorization server will validate the credentials. Once it is validate the credentials, it will create access token. Actually, it will create access token and send to the client. The client will send the access token back to the resource server. The resource server will validate the access token and it will give the access to the user actually. Okay, so basically, like in SAML response, how it is validating based on a certificate and in a SAML subject, the response is there, right? So here, similarly, based on the user infos has been got by the, whatever the like user attributes we are sending in the token, and then the certificate we are going to use it. So based on the two things, they will validate the access token. Once it is done, it will give the access to the user actually. Okay. Okay. Any doubts, guys? This OAuth workflow? Basically, it is using a four different parties actually. In SAML only two parties, but it's more or simple. More or less, it's like a same flow only. In SAML, there is a SAML request and then the SAML response. So here, authorization request and then the access token. Okay. In SAML only two parties. In OAuth, there are four parties are involved. Okay. Now here four parties are involved, right? And then everything in the SAML, there is a SAML request will be created in the service provider side. So here the authorization request will be created in the resource server. Okay, so how the authorization request will be created here based on the client ID has been configured. Okay, in a SAML configuration based on the entity ID has been configured, right? So similarly here it's a client ID. Okay, so the entity ID will be different, right? Two different entity ID. One is identity provider entity ID, one is service provider entity ID. But here only the same client ID we will be configured it in the ping Federate only. That same client ID will be configured in the application side also. Okay, so that is the difference actually. In SAML we will be using the two different unique ID, but here in OAuth only one unique ID, that is known as the client ID. That's all. Okay. So other things are like, the authentication will happen and then, the user will type the credentials and then it will validate the credentials. Once it is validating the credential, if it is successful, it will create an access token. Okay. And the access token will be sent across to the resource server through the client actually. Then resource server will validate the access token based on the certificate as well as the, like whatever the attributes we have sent in the access token actually. Okay, so based on those values it will validate the user and it will give the access to the user actually. Okay, so here in SAML response, right, it will be done automatically. The validation of SAML response will be done automatically. So here also in OAuth it will be the same thing, but we will be doing the three different APIs actually. Okay, first of all, creating authorization request, that is one API, and then creating an access token, that is another API, and then getting the user infos. Okay, getting the user info from the access token, right? In SAML we are seeing it in the SAML tracer actually. Okay, but in a application side, right, how to get those how to get the attributes from the token actually. Okay, so they need to make an API call to get the attributes from the token. So that is the third API we will be using. Okay, yeah. So any doubts, guys? This OAuth workflow actually, like OAuth workflow or the parties involved in the OAuth, and then like the workflow of OAuth. It's similar to the it's similar to the SAML. Okay, so now here how the OpenID will comes into the picture. Okay, so here the OpenID will comes into the picture of authorization only. It won't available in the flow of the workflow actually. So here the authentication, it is throwing the user to the login page, right? So here it is checking the client ID, right? So here along with the request, the application team in the okay, where is the request actually? Where is the request? Not this one, not this one. Okay, there is a request they have given actually, right? I don't know where is the request here. Okay, let me log in again. Sorry, let me do that. So here, okay, click on the sign in again. So here, you can able to see that there is a scope is equal to. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay. Okay, never mind. I think it's they are using different kind of like LDAP server, so that is why. Okay, so here there is a scope is there, right? Okay, so similarly here in ping Federate we will be using one kind of a scope actually. Okay, so based on that scope, right? Based on that scope, it will it will trigger the authentication actually. I will explain you how to enable that scope, and then scope is nothing but basically like a SAML subject in the in the SAML actually. Okay, so basically in the scope we can able to send all the attributes actually, or else we can able to send only one attributes. So in SAML we will be sending only one in the SAML subject, right? But here in this scope, right, in OpenID we can able to send all the attributes also, or single attribute also. So that is a use case of the scope. Basically they will request in the authorization request, they will be sending the scope is equal to OpenID actually. Okay, so if that scope is equal to OpenID is there in the authorization request, ping Federate will analyze that request. Okay, scope is equal to OpenID is there, and then it will redirect the it will redirect the user to give the login page for the user actually. So basically that is the configuration we are going to do it. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts, guys, till now? Okay, shall we move on to the next topic here in the OAuth itself? Okay, so basically we seen the four different parties, right? So the next one is that in SAML, what are the workflows we have seen actually? So I think we have seen two different workflows, right? What are the workflows we have seen? Can anyone say? Like we have seen IDP initiated SSO as well as SP initiated SSO, right? Two different workflows we have seen. Hello? Yes, yes, go ahead. I think someone was
Yes, yes,
talking.
yeah, that's what I thought. What did you mean by the four?
Ah, okay, okay. So
One
in
is,
SAML, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Manish. Yeah, tell me.
so there will be two kinds. Like one will be initiated through the identity provider, and one is through the
Hmm.
service provider.
Yes, yes. So there is a link in the identity provider. If it is there, means it will be considered as an identity provider initiated SSO. If we try to access it from the application side URL, that is a basically like application URL, means it will be considered as a SP initiated SSO, right? So similarly in OAuth, right, there are four different kinds of grant types are there. Okay, four grant types. We won't be saying it as a workflows. You can also mention it as a workflows, but we will be saying it as a grant types actually. Okay, so grant types, there are like four different grant types are there: authorization code, and then implicit, client credentials, and then the last one is the resource owner password credential grant. Resource owner password credentials. Okay, so these are the four different workflows or grant types available in OAuth. We will be seeing one by one, even in the practical, right? We will be seeing one by one actually. Okay, there is one more new feature available actually. Okay, so here there is an extension of the authorization code grant type. Okay, we can also it's not a different grant type actually. It's a same grant type inside the authorization code. There is a new feature. It's they have introduced now only, like I think 1 year before they have introduced this one, authorization code granted with the PKC method. Okay, I will tell you what is the difference between the normal authorization code and then the authorization code with the PKC method also. Okay. So now, first of all, we'll start with the authorization code grant type. Okay. We'll start with the authorization code grant type. So here, what is authorization code granted? Okay, in similar words, we can able to say authorization code granted is the most secured way of doing the OAuth actually. Okay, so I mean there are like four different types of grant types are there, right? So of course all the four grant types. Okay, so authorization code grant type is the most secured way of doing the OAuth actually. Okay, so there is a difference is there why we are saying it as a it is like it's like what we can say like why we are seeing it as a most secure way of doing the OAuth actually. So basically like in normal OAuth, what is the workflow here actually? So here we have seen the normal workflow. After authentication, it will be creating access token directly, right? It will create access token directly, and it will send the send the access token across the resource server through the client, right? So that is the basic workflow, right? But what is the difference between the normal OAuth workflow and then the authorization code granted? Okay, I will tell you. So first of all, the user trying to access any kind of application through the user agent, the same step will get follow. Okay, I'm trying to open a Zoom meeting, okay, through some kind of a browser, that is a Google Chrome browser. The authorization request will be created in the resource server. It will redirect the authorization request to the server actually. So basically with the client ID, it will redirect the request to the authorization server. The authorization server will check the client ID, it's there or not, and then it will check for a session. If it is there means it will redirect the it will redirect the user to provide the login credentials actually. Basically the username and then the password, basically the username and then the password. Once the username and password has been verified by the ping fed, that is the authorization server, it won't create an access token directly. Okay, so once the username and password has been validated successfully, it will create a access code actually. It will create access code. That is a second, that is a second step. Basically it will create a access code. Okay, so and it will send the access code to the client actually. Okay, then the client will swap the access code with the authorization server to get the access token. Hey, I am the client, I am having access code actually. Okay, so you just send me the access token for this particular code actually. Then authorization server will validate the code and it will send the access token to the client. Then the client, it will send the access token to the resource server through the client actually. Okay, so basically this is a three-step process. Okay, basically the normal OAuth workflow, it's a two-step process. That means authorization request, basically like once the request came, it will throw the login page to the user. Once the credential validated, it will create access token actually. Okay, but here there are like three-step process. That is first step, getting the access code actually, creating the access code and send the access code to the client actually. Okay, the second step is that getting the access token. Okay, the second step is that getting the access token. That means like hey, I am the client. Okay, I am having a access code which you sent before. Okay, it's valid. Could you please send me the access token for this code? Okay, so they are requesting, the client is requesting the authorization server, hey, I am having the code, please send me the access token for that. Okay, so then the authorization server or ping fed will get the code, and then okay, it will check whether the code is valid or not. If it is valid, it will create access token to the resource server. Then that is the second step. The third step is that validating the access token in the resource server, basically like by using the certificate and then the user infos. Okay, so this is the difference actually. Okay, so in normal OAuth workflow, after the credentials has been validated, it will directly create an access token. That is a normal OAuth workflow. But here, this one, instead of creating access token directly, it will create a code, temporary code. Okay, so that code, once that code has been created, it will send it to the client. Then the client will swap the code with the access token actually to get the access token. Okay, hey, I'm having a code, please send me the access token for that code actually. Okay, so the code which I am telling you, right, the code will be valid for 60 seconds actually. That is a default value, that is 1 minute. You can also change that value in the ping federate, like you can also change the value to the 30 seconds, or you can also change it to the 90 seconds, but not more than it. You should not, my recommendation is to not more having more than 60 seconds. 60 seconds is enough actually. Okay, so access token, you can also have lot of time actually, that is not a problem. Okay, So that code, I mean, that is a, I mean, like that is a three-step process I'm saying. First step, getting the access code actually. Okay. Second step, getting the access token. The third step, validating the access token by getting the user info or validating the certificate. That is a three-step process. Okay. So that is why, I mean, the normal OAuth workflow, it's having a two-step process only. Okay. So that is why, that is a difference between the normal OAuth workflow and then the authorization workflow, and that is why we are telling this authorization code grant type, right? That is why we are telling it's as a most secured way of doing the OAuth, because there is an intermediate step is there. Okay, there is a intermediate step, that is a step 2 is there. Instead of creating access token, it will create the access code actually. Okay, we will practically we will see this one, I mean, like we will create access code and then we will create access token actually. We will use those APIs actually. Okay, even in a SAML tracer, right? We are using a Zoom meeting, right? We have created a Zoom meeting, right? So for the Zoom meeting, in this Zoom meeting, right, it is also using the authorization code granted only. Okay, so here in the request itself, we can able to see it. The response underscore type is equal to code, right? Okay, you can able to see there is a code as will be created in the next step. Okay, let me check it actually. Where is that? Okay. Where is that? It has been changed or not? I think it got changed actually. Okay, let me log in again one more time. Sorry for that. Okay, so here sign in. Okay, let me open the SAML tracer. Okay, log in. Okay, it has been logged in. Okay, I think I received some kind of error actually. Okay, let's do the sign in again. Yes. So here, let's see this. Okay. So here, this is the where is the so here this is the request actually. Okay. So for this request, okay. So let's see where is the code. Maximize it. So here you could see, right, this is the code has been created. Here you could see, right, can able to see my screen, right? Here the code has been created. For this particular code, the next step they will be creating a token. So next step will be Zoom meeting underscore token. It has been created a token for that particular code. So basically Zoom meeting, right, it's a real life example for real time example for a authorization code granted. So here, first of all, I got, this is the request actually. For this request I authenticated and then it has been created a code actually. Okay, so for this particular code they have swapped this code to get the access token actually. Okay, so this is the next request actually. Okay, so this one you won't be, I mean, the user won't be having any visibility like this actually. Okay, the user can't able to see anything. It's not, I mean, the user does not have any visibility to this kind of a code. Only the user can able to see only the code actually. Okay, even the token also the user won't be able to see it actually, basically. Okay, so that is why it's showing as a secured way of doing this actually. Even that token also, it's a encrypted format only. You can't able to, like, I mean, you need a certificate to unencrypt it. Okay, so that is why this authorization code granted will be seen as the most secured way of doing the OAuth. So like again I will tell you like what is the difference means. The main difference is that it is a three-step process. The normal OAuth workflow, it's a two-step process basically. Like, I mean, instead of creating a direct access token, it will create access code. So for that access code it will create a access token. So the first step is that creating access code by providing the credentials. Next, swapping the access code to get the access token. The third step is that validating the access token, I mean, by using the user info or like by using the certificate actually. Okay, so this is known as the authorization code grant type actually. Okay, any doubts guys in this normal OAuth workflow and then the authorization code grant type? Any doubts? I mean, you will be, I mean, like when we are doing the practical session tomorrow, right, you can able to understand it more clearly actually. Like we will be seeing the all the APIs actually. I told you, right, three APIs here we are using, right, three-step process. So here we will be using the three different APIs. So we will be using each step one by one actually. Okay, yeah. So any doubts guys till now? Shall we move on to the next grant type, implicit grant type? Okay, so I will explain about the implicit grant type, and then we will close it today, and then we will continue tomorrow. Okay, yeah. So the next grant type is that implicit grant type actually. Okay, so So here implicit grant type, it's also least, I mean, like we can say it's a less secured way of doing the OAuth actually compared to the authorization code grant type. It's a less secured than the authorization code grant type actually. Why means it's a normal OAuth workflow actually. It's a two-step process. It's just a normal OAuth workflow. Okay. So what is a normal OAuth workflow? The user will try to access the application, that is a client. Okay. The authorization request will be created in the resource server. Then the authorization request will be redirected to the authorization server. The authorization server will validate the request and send the login page to the user. The user will type the credentials. Then once the ping Federate has been validate the credentials, right, it will create a direct access token actually. That's all. It will create a direct access token and send the access token to the resource server through the client actually. Then the resource server will validate the access token. So this is a two-step process. The first step, directly creating an access token. Okay. The second step, validating the access token. So this is the difference between the implicit as well as the authorization code grant type. Okay. Basically, the implicit grant type is just a normal OAuth workflow grant type only. I mean, the normal OAuth workflow I explained you, right? So the implicit grant type will follow the same workflow actually. There is no difference actually. Okay. Just I mean, first of all, when the user try to access the application, the request will be created. For that request, the ping Federate will see the request and throw the login page to the user. Okay. The user will type the credential. So for that particular credentials, the ping Federate will validate and it will create access token directly. Okay. So that is the, I mean, that is a two-step process here. Okay. So authorization code grant type is a three-step process. Implicit grant type is a two-step process. Okay. So authorization code grant type, first of all, getting the access code. Okay. Like whenever the user type the credential, once it is validated, it won't create a access token directly. It will create a access code. Next one, by swapping the access code to get the access token. Then validating the access token. That is why it is showing as a three-step process. Now implicit grant type. Directly it will create access token. Next one is validating the access token. That's all. Okay. So that is the implicit grant type. Okay. Like any doubts, guys? Could you please, I mean, like I'm going too fast or something like that? This OAuth workflow, or is it clear to you, right? You can able to understand this concept, right? The authorization code grant type as well as the implicit grant type. Any doubts till now? Any doubts? Okay. So here, like in SAML, right? Well, I mean, we are using one assistant consumer service URL, right? That is a, we will be saying is a endpoint URL, right? So here in OAuth, right? We won't tell, I mean, we won't say that it as a assistant consumer service URL. We will be tell them as, I mean, we will be using it as a redirect underscore URI, okay? Redirect underscore URI or redirect underscore URL, okay? I mean, basically like after authentication, right? After authentication, like after validating the access token, right? The resource server, it's redirecting the user to the application, right? Obviously, like in SAML, after validating the SAML response, the service provider is redirecting the user to the assistant consumer service URL, right? So similarly, here the resource server, after validating the access token, it will redirect the user to the some kind of a URL actually. So that URL is known as the redirect underscore URI. Redirect underscore URI. So basically, this redirect underscore URI is mandatory for the authorization code grant type as well. I mean, it's not kind of a mandatory, we can say. It's I mean, if it is a normal application, means we will be giving this redirect underscore URI basically. Okay, so it's a, I mean, authorization code grant type and then the implicit grant type. It's a user flow actually. I mean, it's basically like a user will be like user or resource owner will be the primary resource actually. Okay, yeah. So any doubts till now, guys? Like for authorization code grant type and then the implicit grant type. Maybe, I mean, in interviews also, right? They will ask what is the difference between the authorization code grant type and implicit grant type actually. Okay, so you can mention implicit is a two-step process. It won't have the intermediate step like authorization code grant type having. I mean, after authentication, it will authorization code grant type. It will create a temporary code, and then swapping that temporary code, it will create a access token actually. Okay, so that is the most important difference between the authorization code grant type and then the implicit grant type. So based on this step only, like authorization code grant type is considered as a more secured than the implicit grant type. Okay, you understood the concept, right? Both of the concept, like implicit grant type and then the authorization code grant type. Okay, so these two grant types, right? These two grant type is the most oftenly used grant types actually. Okay, so if you are enabling go ahead for any kind of organization, right, which is using the pink Federate, right? So authorization code grant type and then the implicit grant type is most oftenly used. If you go means like 100 application is there for OAuth means nearly 95 to 96 application they will be using only the authorization code grant type and then the implicit grant type. Basically, why? Because means we know authorization code grant type is the most secured way of doing the OAuth. Okay, why people are using implicit? Because it's a simple to use it actually, because it's just a two-step process. They have to use only the two APIs actually instead of three APIs. I mean, like they need to write the code for I mean, if it is authorization code granted, right, they need to write the code for three APIs actually. Okay, the application team, okay, most of the application team does not know how to do this actually. Okay, so you can help them actually, but that is fine, you can help them. This is the API, you can help them actually, but you can't go and write a code for Python, right? I mean, we can't able to do it actually. Okay, so basically like authorization code random in the application side, it will be more, I mean, it's not that much difficult actually, but it will consume more time than configuring the implicit grant type in the application side. So most of the applications will prefer implicit actually, but you have to recommend them. Please try to use the authorization code grant type actually. Okay, so here, I mean, in pink Federate, right, like as SAML, there is a 2.0 protocol, that is the SAML 2.0 is a latest protocol as I mentioned, right? In OAuth also, OAuth 2.0 protocol is the latest one. But here in maybe next year, right? I don't know when, which is the, I mean, like which month it is introducing. They are going to introduce OAuth 2.1 protocol actually. I mean, it is in beta version only. It's not yet live actually. It's they are testing the OAuth 2.1, but there are like lot of bugs are there. I mean, it's not introduced by the Pink Federate Act. Basically, it is introduced by the Oasis Corporation only. So it's not yet live. If it is, I mean, if it is coming live, right, the Pink Federate will remove the implicit grant type actually. Okay, because OAuth 2.1 protocol, it won't support the implicit grant type actually. So that is one of the disadvantage for the OAuth 2.1. I mean, you can also say it is a, you can also say it is a, like, I mean, advantage also. Okay, why? Because implicit grant type is a two-step process, means in the intermediate, right, any hacker can able to get the access token actually. So by basically getting the access token means you can able to get the access for that particular application actually. So that is one of the disadvantage in the implicit grant type. So that is why like getting the access code, right, that code will be visible only to the browser. So if the user, I mean, if the hacker got the code also, right, so they can't able to get the access token actually, because that code will be valid only for 60 seconds. So within 60 seconds they have to, like, I mean, the client will have to request, I mean, request the access token actually. Okay, if they can't able to, like, I mean, if they can't able to request access token within 60 seconds means that code will get expired. The user have to re-log in again. The user have to type the username and password again actually. Then only it will create a new code. That code will be valid for next 60 seconds, and then they will create access token. Okay, so that is why authorization code grant type is considered as a more secure one than the implicit grant type. Okay. Okay, so we'll stop right here actually, guys. Okay, so from tomorrow we will discuss about the client credentials grant type, and then the resource owner password credential grant type, and then authorization code with the PKC method, and we'll start with the practical session for the OAuth actually. Okay, yeah. So guys, we'll try to finish it off all the Pink Federate training on Wednesday, or else we'll try to have one more session on the Thursday also. Okay. In worst case, it will extend to Thursday, but it's fine. I'll try to finish it off in Wednesday. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, any doubts, guys? Till now, this OAuth workflow, like the OAuth workflow, and then the, like, what is OAuth, the authorization code grant type, and then the implicit grant type, the three-step process. Just remember authorization code as a three-step process, implicit grant type as a two-step process. So that is the easy way to remember it actually. In even in interviews, if they ask these kind of a doubts, means you can able to, like, I mean, if they are this kind of questions means you can able to clear it out. Okay. Yeah, and then the original expressions also you can try it on your own. Okay, I will give this link actually. Just give me a minute. The developers guide link. Okay, you can able to download over the Chrome actually. Okay, so this is the URL, guys. You can save this URL and download that guide. Okay, so by using that guide, we will I'll try to go ahead and then we'll test those things and then we'll do that testing and practical session tomorrow. Okay. So thank you guys. I mean, today also I took 1.5 hours nearly. Okay, so tomorrow also it will be. I mean, like tomorrow and day after tomorrow also it will be having 1.5 hours. Is it okay for you guys, right? I mean, like extra half an hour, like for tomorrow and day after tomorrow also. Is it okay, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sure, Santosh. Yeah. So thank you guys for today's session. Hope you had a good session today. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining today. Yeah. Have a nice day ahead. Yeah. Thank you.